Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sadia and you're watching At TV with Sadia Sadat. Today we have with us Shahal Khan. He is the American venture capitalist, investor, and he is an entrepreneur as well. He's an executive chairman of the Global Data and also chairman of the board of the White City Ventures. He's primarily known for his agreement of the Plaza Hotel. So he has done investments in lots of different sectors like technology, real estate, natural resources. So, but we will be talking about all those stuff that what was the inspiration behind it and how it actually started into it. And because he was also one of the main investors in the Reko Diq projects in Pakistan. So we will primarily be focusing on that issue. So good afternoon.
Morning from here in Washington, D.C. to you, and good afternoon to you there in London.
Yeah, good afternoon. First of all, Shahal Khan, if you could just educate our viewers that what is this Reko Diq project?
Yeah, so Sadia, Reko Diq is one deposit that's in Balochistan. It's in the Chaghi province, which is on the border of Afghanistan. And it sits on a belt, which is an ancient belt that goes from Afghanistan through Pakistan to Iran to Turkey to Eastern Europe, which is where the two magnetic plates collide, the Eurasian plates. And that has brought up masses of mineral wealth to the top, gold, copper, and we also have lithium on the surface that also goes into Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of minerals, millions of pounds of minerals.
Yeah, okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but because there was a company who was mining the area, and then all of a sudden it was stopped. So if you can just tell us about what was the issue was, because I know there was a mine and it was a very shallow dig what they've done, and they found the reserves for the gold and the copper, and that's what drives all of the international mining firms. It was the attention was gathered because of those.
Sada, just to be clear, the first company you're referring to that started TCC, or do you want to know about the mining company I started subsequently?
Just talk about the TCC first, and then if you can tell that what was your main purpose.
Yeah. So I became aware of the issue with government of Pakistan and TCC around, I would say, 2010, 2011. Mm-hmm. And I was called by a friend of mine whose family member was prominent in the PMLN party. Mm-hmm. And he knew me quite well. He also knew that I had some relationships to Barrick Gold, which was one of the investors. Not personally into Barrick, but I knew people that were on the board of Barrick. I also knew the U.S. ambassador to the Dominican Republic that helped Barrick get their largest gold mine. And they felt that because of my interest in seeing Pakistan succeed, also my knowledge of some of these people in Barrick, that I could maybe help solve the issue that could be of the benefit of the both parties, almost like a mediator in between, without any compensation or anything, but somebody that knows both parties, maybe you can have them sit down. This issue, when I went there and I got deeper into it, what I found out was the initial mine was bought by this company TCC, which was an Australian company, from BHP, which is a very large mining company, around the late 1990s. And then this company TCC brought in Barrick and Antofagasta, which is a Chilean company, to be investors in this. And TCC was an Australian company, was listed on the Australian exchange. They had Australian managers. And funnily enough, in the early days, this company also had a counterpart to it called Lake Resources. So there were two teams, and Lake Resources had, let's say, one part that was leases close to Reko Diq, and this TCC company had Reko Diq and some other licenses. So almost like an east-west split. All these guys were from Australia, and Lake Resources went off, and it was also listed on the Australian exchange. It started to do its own development work. TCC took off faster because it was able to bring in significant amount of capital through Barrick and Antofagasta. I believe from the reports I read, they invested close to $300 million in drilling.
Yes.
They did a significant amount of drilling. They brought in a Turkish company to do the drilling. And essentially, they found what they felt was around $60 billion worth of gold and copper, mostly gold in Reko Diq. Reko Diq is mostly a gold property, sorry, a copper property. And they also drilled another a license called Tanjil. It's called H4 because it's named in actually the holes that were drilled. H means hole. So Tanjil was drilled, and it is a pure copper mine, which is worth about, in the feasibility, about $10 billion. And so these are two separate mines that they found, and they decided that the Reko Diq one, specifically, which I believe was hole or H1415, this was the one they wanted to go for. And they then asked for the license to mine. And in the license, essentially, which they negotiated with the government of Balochistan, it was that the government of Balochistan would get about 25%, they would get 75%, and the government of Balochistan would have to
which is not really fair, because it should have been like 50-50, no? Isn't it? Because, of course, the natural reserves are with the Pakistan, so this was... To begin with, it was not a very good deal.
I don't believe it was a good deal, but essentially, my role at that time was to find a way to mediate and try to get this deal going again. And I wasn't really well aware of what could be the best for the country, or I was asked if I could get the people to sit down and discuss, how to fix the situation. Well, this led me down, as they call, a rabbit hole, because I started to get deeper and deeper into knowledge that I was starting to be given by certain people in Pakistan as to why the government of Balochistan didn't give them the license, why certain people on the Pakistan side, in army side, felt that this company was not doing the right things for the country. They were actually heavily into corruption, and also into possibly trying to divide Balochistan outside of Pakistan.
Yes.
So I started to hear about that, which I can talk about more in detail if you'd like. On the other side, the Barak people were saying that simply that the government of Pakistan went back on its word, and and they didn't complete the license. So what I felt was that there was a lot of issues that were not put on the table between the two parties. Frankly, the government of Pakistan should have sat down with them and said, "Listen, we're very well aware of your activities that you're doing in Balochistan. You are also doing, corrupt activities. You are doing, things that we found out through our intelligence services that are not good for the national security. And because of that, we want to change everything, and we want to make sure we're in control. And you are there, and you will earn back your money that you put in. You will earn back a good royalty. But we need to make sure, for the sake of national security, that you are doing things properly," which I don't think this was properly said to them. And, we went into the Supreme Court, and everybody else kind of knows the story that
the Supreme Court then took the sumo action, and I think they stopped the mining. That's what and then I think this case was later brought on to the International Court.
Yes.
And then, unfortunately, it was given against, the decision was given against Pakistan. But why do you think that the decision was given against Pakistan? Especially because the government, there were few certain things which was not abiding by, actually the treaty itself wasn't abiding by the laws of the Pakistan. So why do you think was it given against Pakistan?
The recent settlement is what you're asking.
Yes. The 6 billion. Yeah.
Right. Opinion on this. And I told this to a lot of people in Pakistan, is that we had this favored settlement in the ICJ, I believe, in Europe. And where this the government, I think, actually had the capability to think and feel that we would get the settlement in our favor finally, and there wouldn't be any more compensation for TCC. But you see, the issue is that the Western powers, that behind the scenes are supporting TCC, they very much are looking towards in a way to stop China from getting these resources, right, to a degree, because these are resources that are one of the largest resources left on the planet. And if China becomes now the miner of these China already has given us so much debt. These resources are the only way that we can pay back the debt. And if we now owe so much to China, and the Chinese mining companies are more than happy to come in, there has to be a way to get in between the China relationship and the Pakistan relationship. And I think my formulation was that World Bank has given also a loan to IMF. Let's say the IMF has given a loan to Pakistan. You are sitting in the World Bank court. There's going to be behind the scenes, and there's no way to, let's say, ask for papers to prove this, but we have to be sort of logical and think about it. If they go against this initiative that has been started by Barrack, they are literally in their minds handing these resources over to Pakistan, and Pakistan, they feel, in my analysis, in my knowledge, is going to give it to China, right? This is a way for us to solve our debt issues and all of this. This is their thinking. And I think this is why there was an extreme influence within the court to lose the case, put it against the government of Pakistan. The settlement is a huge settlement. The settlement is absolutely exactly the same amount of money that is owed to the IMF, which for me is fascinating, right? I mean, you borrow $6 billion from the IMF, and then the court settlement is $6 billion. I mean, how do they come up with a number? How is it? All of these things, can be left.
Sorry to interrupt, but you're just right now you're saying that there is always a scene behind, and then the American are more interested in not China going forward with the Pakistan relationship. So don't you think if they put on any other further ventures or any other mining companies into it, so they will always have their own vested interest. So like you said, in this case, they have got the amount of $6 billion, which was owed to the World Bank. And so it was more to put on the pressure. So how can we say that they will be talking in the interest of the Pakistanis?
I think what we have to realize, and this is what I've been speaking to a lot of people in the US government and the European government, in saying that, these governments should be looking to create these bridges with Pakistan that we've always had between the United States and Pakistan since 1947, before all this stuff started with Afghanistan, and increase the economic bridge between the countries. Not get into the politics, not get into the issues between the intelligence agencies, but look at it in Pakistan is in the middle of Central Asia. Pakistan is the bridge between East and West. Pakistan is really the core, place of natural resources that are going to fuel Eurasia in the future, and possibly even the United States. The United States needs the rare earth minerals present in Pakistan because today China controls all the rare earths. The way for, I believe, the United States and China to come to a understanding with each other is having Pakistan as the bridge. Listen, if there's going to be, and I believe in this, a next major war in the world, it's going to be in Central Asia, because today China controls all the minerals. As the fossil fuels go down, we're all going to need gold and copper and lithium. And that is abundant in Afghanistan, that is abundant in Pakistan. And the biggest deposits of this, some of the biggest, are in Balochistan. When the rest of the world that doesn't know these things wake up, because a lot of the intelligence agencies know this, a lot of the mineral companies knows this, the Russians know this. The Russians are the first ones that mined and did a lot of the drilling in Afghanistan. They know the amount of resources there. So the governments are playing these games. This is why you see, also the Russians going into Central Asia and trying to get a hold of Iran and the relationship, because these deposits are also going in there. So the truth needs to be told that the Pakistan itself is in a very powerful position, right? Pakistan needs to now be a balanced country and say, we don't want to do the politics, but we want to do economics. If you want to help us now, America and European Union, and allow us to bring in FDI, allow us bring your proper companies, your professional companies that are not into corruption, and help us build and educate and transfer of knowledge and do this, we are happy to welcome you. Yeah. And in Pakistan itself, we have to stop corruption. We have to go with rule of law and transparency. And I believe also Pakistan, we have a lot of issues in the last government, especially with corruption. And, so if we solve this on both sides, we are in a very powerful position. And this is what I want people to understand,
Yeah.
This is how.
But do you think at the moment the government of Pakistan is heading in the right direction? And do you think they are up for solving these issues? In talking about the, because I know that so many of the cabinet members are the dual nationality holders now, so they will have a good knowledge of the international laws as well as in the Pakistan as well. So do you think it's going to be any of benefit to Pakistan?
Yeah, I think, when I met the Prime Minister here, I think it was last year, his intentions were very pure. He was completely against corruption. He was for Reko Diq being developed. He also mentioned that in his speech. He also mentioned it, I believe, in his meeting with President Trump, that we should make an economic bridge between the United States and Pakistan. The most important thing was for us in Pakistan to have zero corruption in Balochistan, which was a massive issue when I had my own company. We had massive issue, I think, with corruption with the last government that I experienced and I saw for myself. And this is the reason why I stopped my own company after a large amount of investment in Pakistan. And I was assured by current Prime Minister that there would be absolutely no corruption. Any corruption, I should bring it up to him directly. And I think the government has gone forward in a positive way in creating a company there, which I understand now is a joint company between government of Balochistan, Pakistan federal government, and the army. And I think this is a very good initiative. But now what we should do is push it forward. We should push it forward by allowing foreign investors to come in that can bring in the capital to solve this issue, do the settlement. I mean, my view is pay the $6 billion. There's more than enough money out there that if that money is given the comfort that there is no corruption in Pakistan, that there is a good one entry window into Pakistan where people won't face issues with corruption, that the money will come in for sure.
Okay, but so are you going to invest in Pakistan again, or you have decided to pull back from it?
Well, as I've said, I have a consortium. I have it had ready since 2017. In 2017, the government of Balochistan was doing a bid to get H4, which is $10 billion. So imagine if we had started that then, we would have paid. We didn't need the IMF loan. We could have already been in revenue, but they stopped it. They started in 2017 and they stopped it. My view is immediately we start the bid again for H4 today. And I have a consortium ready with one of the largest mining companies in the world. We come in, we do a fair deal with the government of Pakistan, with the government of Pakistan, and that entity they've created is the main mining company. And we start right away. And then we go in phase 2, which is doing the settlement. And I am sure that I can bring in capital from the European Union. There's some very good people there in the European Union. Sadia, I'll also introduce them to you. Some parliamentarians that maybe you can also bring on your show at another time. And they can tell you directly what they're willing to do for Pakistan, because Europe is very interested in investing in Pakistan more than America. But I want to also bring America on board. And for that, I'm also going to get on live on American TV soon and talk about that we must be an ally with Pakistan. We must be there for Pakistan at this time. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Khan, for your valued opinion. And you have really shed a good light in the Reko Diq project. Thank you so much. God bless Pakistan.
Okay. God bless.